4.5 million years ago. One wrong move meant certain death. The region we now call Ethiopia, the heart of East Africa. A landscape of dense woodlands interspersed with open clearings, winding rivers cutting through valleys where life concentrates. The climate is hot and volatile, periods of abundant rain alternating with brutal droughts lasting months. Trees rise like 30-meter towers. Their canopies form a green ceiling where sunlight barely penetrates. On the forest floor, dead leaves accumulate in thick layers. Broken branches trace winding paths between massive trunks. The air carries the smell of wet earth mixed with rotting fruit. Giant owls watch from the shadows. 5-meter snakes slither between roots. Hyenas the size of lions hunt in packs. Cats with 15-centimeter fangs lurk in the trees. 7-meter crocodiles dominate the rivers. One wrong move and you disappear. One broken branch and the predator locates you in seconds. Subscribe now, because this story shows how our earliest ancestors fought to survive. Kael is 21 years old and stares at the river where his younger sister disappeared 2 hours ago. He's an Ardipithecus ramidus, 4 feet tall, 110 pounds of tense muscle under dark skin. His eyes scan the bank. No sign of Nara. Only claw marks in the mud leading into the water. He knows what those marks mean. The crocodiles hunt during the heat of midday when animals come to drink. Nara went for water. She never came back. Kael grips a sharpened stick, his only weapon. His opposable big toe curls around a low branch as he leans forward. The river is murky brown. Nothing moves on the surface. Psh. The Ardipithecus ramidus brain was tiny, barely 300 cubic centimeters, smaller than a modern chimpanzee's. But they had something crucial. They could walk upright on the ground and climb trees with their grasping feet. This dual ability was their survival edge in a world of predators. Subscribe if you want to see what happens next. 300 meters upstream, Nara clings to a partially submerged log. Her left leg throbs. 3 deep gashes where the crocodile's teeth scraped bone. She managed to grab the log as the creature dragged her under. Somehow she wedged herself between 2 branches. The crocodile couldn't reach her, but it's still there, waiting. She's been holding this position for nearly 2 hours. Her arms shake from exhaustion. Blood seeps from the wounds, creating a rust-colored cloud in the water around her. The crocodile circles lazily 20 feet away. Its eyes are level with the water surface. Patient, ancient, Nara knows her brother will come. Kael always comes. But she also knows the blood in the water will attract more predators. And when the sun sets in 3 hours, the hyenas will come to the river to drink. She won't survive the night here. Meanwhile, Kael moves upstream, following his instinct. The forest is alive with sounds. Howler monkeys screeching warnings, birds calling from the canopy, insects buzzing in thick clouds. Every sound could mask a predator's approach. He passes a clearing where spiral-horned antelope graze. They're nervous, heads jerking up constantly. Something has them on edge. Then he hears it. A faint splashing. Irregular. Desperate. 4.5 million years ago, infant mortality among early hominins was catastrophic. Estimates suggest 60 to 70% died before age 5. Adults rarely lived past 30. Every day was a battle against starvation, predation, and disease. Groups were small, 10 to 20 individuals because the environment couldn't support larger populations. Kael breaks into a run, his feet pounding the soft earth. His heart hammers. He knows that splashing sound. Someone fighting to stay afloat. Someone struggling. He reaches the riverbank and sees her. Nara, trapped in the submerged branches, the crocodile circling. The choice is impossible. Enter the water and the crocodile will attack him too. Stay on the bank and Nara will drown when her strength fails. He has maybe minutes to decide. Subscribe, because this gets more intense. Kael scans the area frantically. 30 feet upstream, a dead tree leans over the water at a sharp angle. Its trunk is maybe a foot thick. If he could get to the end of that tree, he might be able to reach Nara without entering the water. He runs to the tree base and starts climbing. The bark is slippery with moss. His opposable big toe grips each foothold as he inches along the trunk. Below him, the river flows dark and fast. Halfway out, the tree groans. The wood is rotten. It's not going to hold. Nara sees him. Her eyes meet his. She shakes her head. Don't risk it. But Kael keeps moving. 10 feet from her now. The tree bends under his weight. Water laps at the underside of the trunk. The crocodile turns toward him. It's assessing, calculating. This new prey is smaller, lighter, easier to pull under. Kael reaches the end of the tree. The trunk dips into the water. He extends his arm toward Nara. She reaches back. Their fingers are 3 feet apart. Ardipithecus ramidus weighed only 50 kilograms on average, making them vulnerable to practically every large predator in their environment. They had small canine teeth, not the dagger-like fangs of chimpanzees. This meant they couldn't fight predators. Their only defenses were climbing, running, and cooperation. "Let go of the log," Kael says. His voice is steady despite his racing heart. "Grab my hand when you jump." Nara looks at the crocodile, then at her brother, then at the 3-foot gap between them. If she lets go and misses his hand, she's dead. If she stays here, she's dead. If Kael falls into the water trying to catch her, they're both dead. She takes a breath, releases her grip on the log, lunges toward her brother. Their hands connect. Kael's fingers close around her wrist. Her weight yanks him forward. The tree trunk splits with a crack like lightning. They're both falling toward the water. Subscribe for more stories like this every week. Kael twists mid-fall, using his body to shield Nara from the impact. They hit the water hard. The current immediately grabs them, pulling them downstream. Kael's head goes under. Water rushes into his nose and mouth. He kicks upward, breaking the surface. Nara is still gripped in his left hand. The current is dragging them away from the crocodile, but toward a section of rapids 50 meters ahead. Behind them, the crocodile launches into the water. Its massive tail propels it forward with terrifying speed. Kael spots a sandbar on the far side of the river. 20 meters. They have to reach it before the crocodile reaches them. He kicks with everything he has, pulling Nara alongside him. Her injured leg trails blood. She can barely move. 15 meters. The crocodile closes the distance. 10 feet behind them now. 10 meters to the sandbar. Kael feels something brush his foot. The crocodile's snout. 5 meters. He throws Nara toward the sandbar with his last strength. She lands in shallow water, scrambles forward on her hands and knees. Kael is right behind her. He feels teeth close around his calf. Pain explodes up his leg. He grabs a rock from the riverbed and smashes it down on the crocodile's eye. Once, twice. The creature releases him for half a second. Kael lunges forward. His hands find sand. He drags himself onto the bar. The crocodile's jaws snap shut on empty water. They collapse on the sandbar, gasping. Blood streams from Kael's calf and Nara's thigh. They're both shaking from exhaustion and shock, but they're alive. Subscribe because what happens next is insane. The sandbar is barely 10 feet wide and 20 feet long. On all sides, the river rushes past. The crocodile circles in the deeper water, waiting for them to move. "We can't stay here," Nara whispers. Her voice is weak. "When the sun sets, we won't see the water. The crocodile will come up onto the bar." Kael knows she's right. They have maybe 2 hours of daylight left. He looks downstream. The rapids are too dangerous to navigate. Upstream is the crocodile's territory. The only option is to cross the river to the far bank. 40 meters of open water. But Nara can't swim, not with her leg torn open, and Kael's calf is bleeding heavily. He can feel his strength ebbing with each pulse of blood. "I'm going to carry you," Kael says. "On my back. We cross together." "You can't," Nara says. "You'll drown. We'll both drown." "Then we both drown," Kael says. "I'm not leaving you." Among early hominins, group cooperation was essential for survival. Unlike modern great apes, Ardipithecus showed reduced sexual dimorphism. Males and females were nearly the same size, and lacked large aggressive canine teeth. This suggests they lived in more cooperative social groups, where males didn't fight each other for dominance. Helping injured group members, even at personal risk, was likely common behavior. Subscribe if you like these stories. Kael helps Nara onto his back. She wraps her arms around his neck. Her injured leg dangles uselessly. He wades into the water. The current immediately pulls at his legs. He takes a step. Another. The water rises to his waist, his chest, his neck. He starts swimming with one arm, keeping the other wrapped around Nara. Each stroke sends lightning bolts of pain through his injured calf. The current tries to drag them downstream toward the rapids. 20 meters to go. The crocodile sees them in open water. It moves. 15 meters. Kael's lungs burn. His muscles scream. Nara's weight pushes him under. He kicks upward, gulps air. 10 meters. The crocodile is closing fast. 5 meters. Something massive rises from the water directly in front of them. A second crocodile, bigger than the first. Kael has no strength left. He can't fight, can't run, can only swim forward. The giant crocodile's jaws open wide, and then it turns. Snaps at the smaller crocodile behind them. The two creatures collide in an explosion of thrashing tails and snapping jaws. They're fighting each other over the prey. Kael doesn't waste the moment. He swims with his last reserves of energy. His hand touches mud, then rocks, shallow water. He crawls onto the far bank, Nara still clinging to his back. They collapse in a heap, too exhausted to move. Behind them, the two crocodiles battle in blood-frothed water. Crocodiles have existed for over 200 million years, barely changing. 4.5 million years ago, they were larger and more aggressive than today's species. Some grew up to 7 meters long and weighed over a ton. They were apex predators in river systems, killing everything from fish to early hominins. For 10 minutes, Kael and Nara just breathe. Blood pools beneath their wounded legs. They're both shaking uncontrollably from blood loss, exhaustion, shock. Finally, Kael forces himself to sit up. He tears strips from the broad leaves of a nearby plant and binds them around Nara's thigh wounds. Then he does the same for his calf. The bleeding slows, but doesn't stop. They need to get back to the group. The group has the medicinal plants. The group has protection. But they're on the wrong side of the river now. And Kael barely has the strength to stand, let alone make the 3-kilometer journey back through predator-filled forest. The sun is lower now. Maybe 90 minutes until darkness. Can you walk? Kael asks. Nara tries to stand. Her injured leg buckles immediately. She shakes her head. Kael looks at the forest ahead of them. Dense, dark, full of sounds he doesn't recognize. He makes a decision. He fashions a crude crutch from a fallen branch and hands it to Nara. Then he positions himself on her injured side and puts her arm around his shoulder. Together, they start moving. 50 meters, 100. Every step is agony. Kael's calf throbs. Nara whimpers with each movement of her torn thigh. 200 meters into the forest, they hear the first howl. Hyenas! The massive bear-sized hyenas that hunt in packs of 15. They've caught the scent of blood. The hyenas of 4.5 million years ago were gigantic compared to modern species. Some weighed over 150 kilograms, more than 3 times the size of today's spotted hyenas. They had bone-crushing jaws that could snap an Ardipithecus femur like a twig. They hunted cooperatively and rarely gave up once they locked onto prey. Subscribe because the final part is coming. Kael and Nara freeze. The howl came from maybe 300 meters behind them. A second howl answers from the left, a third from the right. The pack is surrounding them. Tree, Kael says. We need a tree, now. They spot a massive fig tree 20 meters ahead. Its lowest branches are 2 meters off the ground. Kael can climb it easily with his grasping feet, but Nara can't put weight on her injured leg. They reach the tree. The howling is closer now, maybe 100 meters. I'm going to lift you, Kael says. You grab the branch. Pull yourself up. I can't, Nara says. My leg. You can, Kael says. You have to. He interlaces his fingers to make a step. Nara puts her good foot in his hands. He lifts. She reaches up, her fingers finding the branch. She pulls. Her arms shake. Her injured leg dangles, useless and screaming with pain. For a moment, she hangs there. Can't pull herself higher. Can't hold on much longer. Then Kael pushes her from below. His wounded leg nearly gives out from the effort, but Nara gets one elbow over the branch, then the other. She drags herself up. The first hyena bursts from the undergrowth 50 meters away. Kael jumps, grabs the branch, pulls himself up, using his grasping big toe for leverage. He doesn't look down, just climbs. Higher. Nara follows, using her arms and her one good leg. They reach a fork in the tree 12 feet up. Nara collapses into it. Kael positions himself between her and the trunk, scanning the ground below. 7 hyenas emerge from the forest. Massive creatures with heads the size of a human torso. Their jaws can crack bone. Their teeth can strip flesh in seconds. They circle the tree, sniff the blood-soaked ground where Kael and Nara stood moments ago. One rears up against the trunk, clawing at the bark. It can't reach them, for now. The hyenas settle into a wait. They know what Kael knows. Eventually, the 2 hominins will have to come down, whether from thirst, hunger or loss of blood. When they come down, the hyenas will be waiting. Darkness falls. The forest fills with sounds, hooting, screeching, rustling. Nara shivers against Kael. Her bandages are soaked with blood. She's feverish. Infection is setting in. Kael holds her, watches the shadows below where the hyenas wait. He knows the group is looking for them. His mother, the elders, the hunters. They'll follow the river. Eventually, they'll track them here. But will they arrive before Nara's fever kills her? Before blood loss makes them too weak to hold onto the branches? Before the hyenas find a way up? The evolutionary journey from Ardipithecus to modern humans took 4.5 million years of brutal natural selection. Every generation faced predators, starvation, disease, and environmental catastrophe. The fact that you're reading this now means every single one of your ancestors, stretching back through thousands of generations, survived long enough to reproduce. You're the product of 4.5 million years of impossible choices, desperate struggles, and the will to survive against overwhelming odds. As the night deepens, Kael hears something in the distance. Voices. Human voices, calling their names. The group has found them. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment. Would you have survived?
Realm where the wind sings the song of the void, only the strongest hearts survive.